Hey guys, it's Mark here from ETFtracker, and it's another ETF analysis series video. We are filming this after a long day of project work, but that is all okay because we love ETFs here and we're keen to help you better understand all of that. So I'm going to go to the ETFtracker app, and that's on the ETFtracker page. As you can see here, we'll go full screen just so we can see this in a bit more detail. So the request was for an ETF called MVA. And if you hear some of these tickers and you're like, well, what is it? What does it do? You can Google it. I'm not saying that ETFtracker is the Google for ETFs, but you know, we're getting there. We're trying to help. So this is a property related ETF. As you can see here, there's commodity ETFs, there's equity ETFs, and those are local and global and Asian and all across different regions and sectors. There's also cash and fixed income and other types of ETFs. So property is one of the asset classes there. So we can see it's Australian property. There's also global, but there's not that many ETFs in there. There's probably about 5 or 6 altogether across both groups. But it does give you that benefits of what you get as an ETF, the diversification and the ease of access. And so we can see here that it is tracking a benchmark, the MVIS Australian A-REIT ETF. It's from Van Eck. It's only got 16 holdings. Okay, so let's take a look at that. We can see here that the top 10 holdings makes up 86% of this ETF. And as you can see here, you can see what those top 10 are. So 4 of those top 10 have 10% or near 10% actually, if we include Stockland. And actually the top 6, if you round it up, they're all 10%. So not just the top 10 is, you know, high up there, but nearly 10%, 11% across all of these top 6, 7. So 70% is just in those ones. So Center Group, Dexus, GPT, Mirvac, Stockland, Charter Hall, all the places that we can't go until, you know, Freedom Day hits wherever you are in Australia, if you are looking at this from Australia. So in terms of what the ETF does, it tracks property, as we mentioned, and it says here that MVA gives investors exposure to a diversified portfolio of ASX-listed securities with the aim of providing investment returns before fees and after costs that closely track the returns of the index. And this is the index here. So you can go to the fund website and you can see more info there. We can go to Google Finance and see a comparison and more up-to-date pricing information. Or we can actually look at also what's happened in terms of the metrics. So we can see returns, this profile here. So this is the cumulative 1-month return. So we just take the 1-month total returns from the ASX that they provide, as well as Chi-X. This one's the ASX. And we just add all of those up 1 month at a time and we group it together. And that's how we get the 79.86. So this is not quite the price returns because total monthly returns also takes into account, I'm just expanding here, it also takes into account dividends and distributions being reinvested. So that's something to think about as well. So we can see here the profile, it's been quite positive, and then it got hit, and he guesses it was March last year, and then it recovered since then. So that's what that dip was. We've got 56 months of data, so it goes all the way back to the start of 2017, and you can see the profile here. Now, if we take a look, the other metrics are also important. So things like net inflows. So it's got 596.5 million in FUM. That's its funds under management. 13.9 million was its latest inflows for August. So let's see what that looks like across a period of time. So it had big inflows last year. So that was September last year. There was a lot of money that went into it, 90 million, just under. And we can see what that profile of the funds under management looks like. It's not necessarily a straight curve up. There was a dip, okay, and that was in March last year, and then it slowly started to bounce back up, and we can see that here. So that is interesting. What's next? Let's take a look at transactions. And transactions, it's all about the trades, transaction volume, and the value of those transactions. And we can see here that the number of trades is getting higher. And, you know, this is interesting because as a property related kind of play, if people aren't necessarily getting into property just yet, they don't have enough yet for a deposit or for whatever other reason, REITs and property related ETFs are a good way to have a look at that. And so this is what we're seeing here. There's more popularity in this one. So it's now trading at just over 1,300 a month, that many times. So you can compare that to other ETFs. So you can switch it up here and look at some others and see how that compares. We can see the volumes here. There was a big spike in volume in September last year. So a lot of people were buying this. So maybe there was something going on in the news. A lot of advisors putting their clients' money into that, or it's retail investors going on the various apps and doing stuff there. So that's interesting. And then the bid-ask spread, let's have a look at that, and liquidity. And we can see here that even though there's been these spikes in liquidity, it kind of hovers around that 5% mark. Okay, so, despite these spikes here, you can see where it's been long-term. And then the spread is interesting. This is pretty low, 0.2%. It's actually been getting lower in the most recent months. And importantly, as you'll see from myself and other people that educate about this that know a lot more than me, but spreads, you want that to be lower, right? Because the spread is an indicator of where the buyers and sellers are. Okay, so the other thing is quality, and we can see here that it does have some distribution yield. So this is the distribution yield as provided by the ASX. We've got a definition on our definitions page in the blog, but also on this ETFtracker app page, there's a definition thing at the top, I believe, and it's 0.35% in its management expense ratio. So there you go. That's a quick summary of what is going on with MVA. If you're interested in other property related ETFs or anything ETF related here in Australia, as long as it's on the ASX or Chi-X, we will have the data, even some of the older ones. So you can actually look up some of the ones that are delisted. So as long as it was in that period of 2017 until now, then you will have that information there. So anyway, check it out. Let's go back to me. All right. So good luck if you are looking at this, if you're interested, if you are just getting started with ETFs or you're a bit more advanced, please use the tools here. They're all free, these resources. They're here to help you. And yeah, that's it. So please do like, share, subscribe, and tune in for the next one. See you later.